My name is Ladan Bashir Yusuf. I'm from the campaign called Defend Galanial Public Housing Coalition. As you can see today, we are here at Elliot Twins to witness history of what is happening to these buildings. For 3 years now, we have been fighting with residents here, fighting and organizing with residents here to make sure that these homes are not sold to private developers or lenders, because we know what's going to be happening to that. And unfortunately, city council member back in 2019 told residents that nothing's going to happen to them. They were misled and lied to, and as a result, is without their notice and knowing, these two buildings were sold to Royal Bank of Canada, and they were giving only notices to say that we're going to be renovating your home. But these residents never saw the contract that is between the city, between MPHA and the city of Minneapolis and Elliot Twins. MPHA created an Elliot Twins LP company to kind of oversee this, and 99.9% of these two buildings and the public land that we're on now is going to be sold, and is actually sold, to Royal Bank of Canada. Now, what does that mean? This means that when Royal Bank of Canada starts change, and the residents also change their lease. So what does that mean? That means that when the residents, when Royal Bank of Canada LP, within a year or so, they'll be telling residents that the rents will increase, and it'll be around people that make $60,000 a year or more will be the ones who will be recruited or marketed to come to live in these buildings. As you see now, there are 22 apartments that are empty in 1212. 1212 is this building right behind you, and 22 apartments are empty. As we have people living in tents, Elliot Twins is right behind you. Elliot Park is right behind you, and we have people living in tents that need public housing. But MPHA and the city of Minneapolis refuse to allow residents that make $0 to $10,000 or $20,000 a year to live in these buildings. Why is that? Because they want only people that make $60,000 or more to start living in here, and the rest have been slowly moved out. Majority of the residents have been intimidated. They've been told that if you speak, you will be pushed out, you'll be evicted. So that's why we're here. We're here to record history. We're here to tell the world that this is the crisis and the corruption that is happening in Minneapolis and the city hall, all of the 13 council members, and the state. Everybody's responsible for this. Everybody's responsible for what's happening here, and we have to notice and watch what's going on here. Now, this is Ward 6. Okay, this is Ward 6, and it is the highest density ward in Minneapolis. And no one is paying attention, neither no one cares. Mayor Jacob Fry doesn't care. He has pushed the Royal Bank of Canada to come here. The Royal Bank of Canada is also getting involved in the Upper Harper Terminal, from what I understand. Okay, we have the biggest housing crisis in Minneapolis. Okay, and they want to push this model of privatizing Elliot Twins so they can do it to the rest of the public housing buildings in the state, in Minneapolis. And we cannot allow that to happen. We're here to tell the city and to tell MPHA we will continue to fight and organize. No matter how many security guards they send here to watch us, no matter how many people they intimidate, we're going to be here, regardless of what they say. Because this corruption will be exposed and justice will prevail. Assalamu alaikum.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. مدنيال يا مروين دمانتي واندي السلام يا مقعي وحا لا يرادا حسن عبدي وحنا كجرا غريهن إليت توينس building 1225 ayaan ku jiraa. marka arintan guriyaha muddo badan oo 3 sanadood ah ayaanu dagaal ku jirnay. in badan baanu guriyahaas si aan loo iibin ayaanu ku dagaalamaynay. marka adigu waqti badan baanu dagaalka ku jirnay. waxay noqotay arinta in la yiri ciid loo joojin waayo. waxaasoo dhan waxa ka mas'uula Minneapolis Public Housing ka ayaa mas'uula. in badan bay been noo sheegayeen. marba waxay yiraahdaan guriyaha dayactir baanu doonaynaa inaanu dayactirno. lacagta dawladdaanu ka doonaynaa ama kamaan la yiraahdo raad baanu ka doonaynaa. ayaanu lacag ka doonaynaa. guriyaha kan guriyo la wareejinayo maaha. marmar waxay yiraahdaan guriyaha boqolkiiba 30 isbaad bixinaysaan wax la idinku kordhinayaan ma jirto. lana iibin maayo. waanuna weynay dawladda lacagteedii. adigu muddo badan baa arintaasi socotay. waxay noqotay in ay arrintii ay ku biyo shubato in la yidhaahdo miitinka badan iyo shirarka kan iyaynu dadka isugu yeedhin hoos ahaan aynu wax u wadno iyadoo cabdi warsame uu qudhiisa mas-uuliyadda ugu weyn arrintaa uu ku lug lahaa nooguna dhaartay inuun guryahan cidna laga iibinahayn adigu arrintii waa la joojiyey miitinnadii badnayd waxaanu ogaanay in arrintii sidii uunu socoto marka arrintii sidii baa guryihii hoos ahaan loogu wareejiyey kambanigan la yidhaahdo Royal Bank of Canada iyo wixii adigu ay lugta ku qaataane raad kuwa la yidhaahdo adigu arrintii waxay noqotay dacwaddayadii mid aan wax weyn aan laga soo qaadin oo dee annagii beenna loo sheegay guryihii sidaas ayaa lagu iibiyey dhibaatada kale meesha ka taagane iminkana haysataa waxa weeye xanuunka kan covid-19ka wakhtiguu bilaabmay oo ugu daran yahay baa guryihii la bilaabay shaqadii qolka qof ku jiro isagoo ku jira qolkii ku xiga la garaacayaa shaqadii ka socotaa loo soo gelayaa waxaana u markhaatiya waraaqahaas oo ah in ay guryihii inay guryihii ay iyadoo lagu jiro loo soo gelayo oo la samaynayo meeshii la yidhi guryahayaan cidi soo gelin oo dadku guryahayayan ka bixin oo halkaa karantiin ha ku noqdeen guryaha tualifka dad badan baa laga soo wareejiyey guryihii baa laysu rararayaa aroortii 7 shaqada la bilaabayaa ma seexanno guriga kan badanaaba dadka loo soo wareejiyey 25ka 3 qof baa ku dhintay guriga 25ka 3 baa ku dhintay ninkii ugu dambeeyey wuxuu ku dhintay bishan July 24keedii oo jibcihii ayuu ninkaasi dhintay waxaan hadalkii kaga baxayaa war dadkan waa la dhibay dadkani waa dad waaweyn dadkii baa xitaa la iska hor keenay iminka kuwa meelaha tubani annagayba nala yaaban yihiin ay leeyihiin war waad bawaalantihiin dadkii baa la iska hor keenay oo ay isku direen xitaa Minneapolis Public Housing-ku dadkii baa isku direen iska hor keeneen iyaguna siday uga faa'iideystaan oo maaragtay waa barow karisay lacag u helaan.
Hello, my name is Nate Hart Anderson. I live here in Ward 6. I actually just live a few blocks away from the Elliot Twins buildings. I have a few friends who live here in the buildings, and I've been coming and going from these buildings now for a few years throughout this whole process. So I've seen firsthand how MPHA didn't really care to listen to what people here at the buildings wanted in terms of what the future of the buildings would be. They had a plan that they wanted to do, and now we can see that they're pushing the plan through. So many residents spoke out throughout the whole process saying that they didn't want to sell their homes to a private ownership. They were worried about what that would mean for their safety and security. But MPHA preferred to do what they want rather than listen to what their own residents were telling them. So that was a little disturbing to see. I also want to say that I have some friends, like I said, who live over here in the building. I can't speak for them, but I can say that a lot of people don't necessarily feel safe always sharing their story because there can be a concern that MPHA may retaliate against residents. It's not nice to say, but it's a reality that people experience and see happen to other people. And so it's something that we need to keep in mind, that not everyone feels safe to talk about what's happening to them, and that's not a good situation. So people have expressed to me that they feel unsafe with construction workers coming and going during a pandemic. It's really outrageous when you think about the number of vulnerable people who live here in these buildings, that MPHA is continuing to push forward with these plans in spite of the pandemic. We've seen how the pandemic disproportionately targets elderly people, lower income people, and that's exactly who lives here in these buildings. So as a resident of Minneapolis, as a resident of Ward 6, I really want to know why MPHA thinks it's okay to push forward with these plans in spite of the health and safety of their own residents. I've been disappointed with our lack of leadership in Ward 6 with our former council member Abdel Warsame, so I'm disappointed to see that he is now running MPHA. I hope that we can get better leadership in Ward 6 who will actually stand up for the residents here, and not just here, but all throughout the city. So all throughout Minneapolis, if you don't live here, There are homeless encampments everywhere you look. It's a major crisis. And it's outrageous that politicians prefer to sell public housing to private banks instead of doing the right thing and investing in keeping public housing public for the long-term future. So, like I said, I just wanted to come here in support of residents who live here, who haven't supported this process and who are concerned about their safety. And yeah, we all need to stick together. So thank you for listening to me.
waa AJ Awad musharaxa Ward 6 maanta aniga maxaa imaaday barnaamijkan oo banaanbaxdan oo ku qabanayo Elliot Twins runtii aniga markii la ka hadlo waxa meeshan ka dhacayo dadka aqoonka u leh way garanayaan inay qalad tahay maanta hadii la ka fiiriyo the outcomes oo ka dhici doono maamooyinkeena iyo abahooyinka ayayeeni and all the the elders commission degan is going to be devastating and walaka hada iga horeeyay oo ka hadlayay muxuu ka hadlayay homelessness rate ka oo magaaladan yaalo and wili kori aadoosa markii la ka hadlo what public housing is public housing waxa weeye markuu qof runtii hadda oo kale Soomaalida low income yihiin working class yihiin dad and safety net house hadda edayaashan Soomaali maamooyinka badana SSI qaataan ma shaqaystaan luqada ma aqaanayaan so markii la ka hadlayo safety net ka America siiso is the public housing system ma garatan and haddii maxay yiraahdaa and arintii la ku socdane oo private la ka dhigo si hadda Elliot Twins la ka dhigoyo dib weyn anaga soo gaarayso insha Allah maxaan ka rajeynayaa walaalkeen Cabdi Warsame ya hadda Ward 6 waa ka tagtay and public housing aa joogtaa and let's make sure that markii noqoto privatizing public housing wax qalad intii tahay andigana dadka u tiraadi qalad tahay oo insha Allah na tiraadi anigana waa ka hor imaanaya qof kasto horibintii aniga igu jujuqeeyo oo igu hor keena and privatization ka public housing na waa ka hor imaanaya and hadani iska hadlo wax yar and campaign-kay runtii wuxuu ku focus gareysan yahay is fighting for these things si loo dagaali lahaa aniga hadaan noqdo qof maxay raday Ilaahay and oo ogolaadeen to Ward 6 maanta matalo maxaan noqonayaa qof council member ah oo and qof kasta oo privatization ka fikirka wato inta aniga hadii noqdo commission yaasha maqdaan niman oo shaqadaas haasanin oo runtii la ka fiiriyo shaqadii qabanayaan arintii la bedelo oo la ku bedelo qof taageeraya public housing ka and it's very very important walaalayaal aniga maanta maxaan dhahoyaa aniga wiil dhalinyaro ahay wiil Soomaali ahay dhinaca aqoonkan sharciga wax ka aqaano ani maxaan dhahoyaa danteena ya si walaasheelada markasta wa tiraado oo runtii aad iyo aad ka dagaalaysay danteena ma ku jirto ma garateen so insha Allah Soomaalida kasta meel kasta way joogaan arintii ay soo baxaan maxaa yiraahdaa la soo garab taag defend Glendale your public housing keeping public housing public coalition inshallah assalamu alaikum How you guys doing? My name is AJ Awad, of course, candidate for Ward 6. Today I'm standing here in front of you in support and solidarity, of course, with Defend Glendale and all the other organizations that are involved in keeping public housing public. From my understanding and from my analysis, public housing is the only apparatus right now that literally caters to the most marginalized and disenfranchised individuals in our society. I think it's very important to invest in it rather than detracting from it. I think it's even more important that when we're talking about the trajectory that we see with this current city council and the representation currently that we have in city council, that we need to reverse these things with bold new ideas, and we need to have people that are really committed to it. For me, I understand public housing when we're talking about the individuals that live here. Again, many people have said it over and over again. It's people that are in the working class, elders who don't even work most of the times. They rely on SSI checks. They rely on subsidies from the government and actual recurring income from the government. So in these situations, we shouldn't be having a conversation in modern day 2020 about privatizing public housing. That's not what we need in Minneapolis. And for me, as far as a city council representative and a candidate, I'm here to make sure that that's not what happens. We see Donald Trump and we see all the Ben Carson types at HUD honestly trying to put this RAD program or Section 18 and these, mechanisms in place to privatize and bring capital and capitalists really to take over something that should be deemed in the public trust. For me, that's something that we do not want to invest in. You know, I'm really looking at these buildings right now as I'm talking to you in Harlem, right? They're not decaying, they're not deteriorating. They are buildings that need some tweaks here and there, but it shouldn't be open to capital investors taking ownership of the whole building, which ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, is going to result in this not being what we see right now, the diversity that we have in Ward 6, and making sure that we stay as rich as we are as a community. So please, anyone who's listening to this message, as a candidate, I am fully in support of keeping public housing public, and I'm going to make sure to take on any commissioner involved in trying to privatize the Elliot Twins and any other buildings or institutions that need to be in the public house. As a personal and as an individual, I'm asking everybody to come out and support public housing, because honestly, this is the thing that maintains the diversity we have in the city and that helps the people that most need that help. Thank you very much.